while constructs are used to repeat certain statements again and again until some condition is satisfied or until the condition is true. If there is one statement, generally we don't use bracket. Suppose if there are more than one statement to be executed a repeated number of times, normally we use brackets. The meaning of fixed is the user must be knowing the exact number of repetition in the programming statement. Dear students, welcome to CS classes. I am Ravi Kumar KR, lecturer in computer science, Vidhyaashram PU College, Temple of Excellence, Mysore. Students, let us start our discussion with the concepts iterative constructs or looping. So this is another type of constructs. So under this we are going to discuss about the for, while and do while constructs. Now let us see these things one by one. Now first one is iterative construct. So what is iteration? The process of repeated execution of a sequence of statements until some condition is satisfied is called iteration or repetition or looping. So what is looping here? Suppose in any cases if required to repeat certain set of statements continuously for number of times. So that is then we are using iterative construct. So repeated execution of sequence of statements until. So this is until some condition is satisfied. So here we are using this to repeat certain set of statement continuously for number of times. That is then we are using iterative construct. Here there are two types of iterative constructs. They are conditional and unconditional. So conditional, here there are while and do while loop, or while and do while construct, or it is for loop or for constructor. It is an unconditional looping structure or programming construct. Now let us discuss this one by one. Here first one is while construct or while loop. So this is a pre-tested loop structure, and this structure checks for the condition at the beginning of the programming structure or the statements, and the set of statements are executed again and again until condition is true, and when the condition becomes false the control is transferred out of the structure. So this is while construct. While construct are used to repeat certain statements again and again until some condition is satisfied or until the condition is true. So once the condition is true, it executes the statement, and once the condition fails or false, it comes out of while construct. And it is also known as pre-tested loop structure because it checks for the condition at the beginning of the programming construct. Now let us see the syntax of this, and here the general form or syntax is while is a reserved word and test condition. So this is the condition. So this condition, and here if condition is true, it executes statement 1, statement 2 and so many statements till end of while. So here these set of statements are repeated until the condition is true. So this is the syntax of while construct. Now let us see the flow chart. This is the condition. Again, condition, there are two possible answers, true or false. So these statements are repeated until the condition is true. Once the condition fails or false, it comes out of this while construct. So this is while construct, and here now let us see the example. Now here any type of repetition of statement, here we should be aware of three conditions, or the programmer should know there are 3 points. One is for initialization. One is we say initialization, or we should know the starting, or what is the starting value, and also we should know the end value or end. So that is to stop. I mean, at what time we have to stop this repetition, and in between we need to have either increment statement or decrement statement. So these are the points to be noted or to be aware of this before we are working with loop construct or repetition of statement. So accordingly, what is the meaning of this? Say whenever we would like to repeat the number of statements, we should know what is the starting value and what is the end value. So in between, we will come to know number of times the statements are repeated, and in between that we should know either increment or decrement value. Now let us see an example for this. So here I equals to 1. Here I equal to 1, it indicates the starting value or the beginning value. And while condition, this is a condition. While condition, so here if condition is true, and these are the statements. These are the statements. So here say print I, and I equals to I plus 1. And then we are at the end of the loop. So accordingly, if you look at the condition here, while condition statements or statements, here you can have one statement or more than one statement called as compound statement. So here, if there is one statement, generally we don't use bracket. Suppose if there are more than one statement to be executed a repeated number of times, normally we use brackets here. So it indicates end of while loop. So the statements within these two brackets are repeated number of times or until the condition is true. Now let us see the example of this. So here I equals to 1. Now while I less than or equal to 5. So here what is the value of I? I equal to 1. So 1 less than or equal to 5. So these statements are repeated as long as the condition holds good, or 1 less than or equal to 5. Now in this example, 1 is less than 5, condition is true. It executes the statement accordingly, print I. Value of I is 1. It is going to print 1. Next, increment or decrement. In this example, it is increment. I equal to I plus 1. So I value, it was 1. At this line, it becomes 1 plus 1 is 2. I value is 2 here. Now again, it comes this slide. So it checks I value, it becomes 2. Now 2 less than 5 equal to 5, true. It prints I value as 2. And again, 2 plus 1 is 3. Comes here 3. I value is 3. Similarly, it works for value of I value becomes 5. Condition is less than or equal to 5. Once the value of I becomes 5 here. So 5 less than or equal to 5. Condition is true. It prints I, it prints 5. Then a increment by plus 1. So 5 plus 1, 6. Now comes here 6 less than or equal to 5. No, at this stage condition fails or false. It will come out of while construct, or it comes out of while loop. So it stops printing the value from 1 to 5. So in this example, observe this. I equal to 1, this is initialization. So I equal to 1 is initialization, and this is a starting point. And what is the last value? That is 5. This is condition. Condition says this is the value where we have to stop, and in between we have increment or decrement statement. Here I equal to I plus 1. It is increment because I value was 1, so it is increased to by plus 1, means it is 2, then 3, 4, 5. So it is an increasing number. So that is increment. So these are the points to be remembered while working with looping structures. So accordingly, this is here, this statement print I is repeated number of times. Accordingly, is going to print the values 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it repeats 5 times. So this is nothing but a looping structure where to repeat the certain set of statements number of times, and the loop condition works. The while loop it executes the statements or repeats the statement until the condition is true. Once the condition fails, it comes out of while loop. Now similarly, look at second example here. This is I value equal to 2. This initialization, last value is 10. So I less than or equal to 10, print I, and I equal to I plus 1. So according to this statement here, starting value is 2, 2 less than or equal to 10. So it prints, condition is true, it prints I, it's going to print the value 2. After this, I equal to I plus 1, it's an increment here. So 2 plus 1, 3. 3, next it checks for 3. 3 less than 10, true, it prints value 3. So it goes on till the condition is true. As long as the condition is true, means 10, it prints 10. After 10, 10 plus 1 is 11. So 11 is less than or equal to 10. No, condition fails or false. It is not going to execute these statements and comes out of while construct or while looping. So accordingly, it is going to print the numbers from 2 to 10. So this is while construct. Let us move on to next slide. Here, next one is called do while construct. It is called as post-tested loop structure. And as we have seen in the previous slide, while loop is called as a pre-tested looping structure, while do while is called as post-tested looping structure. So again, same, it check for the condition till the end of the structure, and the set of statements are executed again and again until the condition is true. And when the condition becomes false, it will come out of the structure. So this is also called as post-tested looping structure. So it is condition remains same. It is post-tested because it's going to check for the condition at the end of the statement. Now let us see the syntax. This is a general form of do while statement. Here do statements 1, 2, 3, n number of statements, close the bracket, and while test condition and semicolon. So this is, we will check for the condition at the end of the statement. It is called as post-tested statement or post-tested looping structure. So accordingly, do, it does all the statements, then at last check for the condition. And here the semicolon is very, very important. Now same thing, this is a flow chart. Now let us see an example. So same thing here, we should be aware of this, the initialization, increment or decrement, and the last value. Accordingly, look at this example. Here I equal to 1, do, and open the bracket. Here closing this, in between we have a number of statements. Print I equal to I plus 1, and while condition, what is the condition here? I less than or equals to 5, semicolon. So accordingly, I equal to 1, print I means it prints the value y here. I value is 1 prints, then I value is I plus, then check for the condition. I less than or equal to 5, true. So then it increments to 2 here. So again 2, print I, it prints 2, then it check for the condition here, 2 less than or equal to 5, it is true. Again it prints the value of 2, it then increments it to 3. So accordingly, it is going to print the numbers from 1 to 5 as long as this condition is true. And here please note down, this is initialization and this is a last value, and in between here we have increment. In this example, increment, or it can be decrement also. So this is do while construct called post-tested because checking of condition takes place at the end of the programming statements. Look at one more example. Here I equal to 2, do and these are statements, close the bracket, while condition. And accordingly, it checks for the condition 2, starting value is 2, it prints 2, then check for the condition, then 2 less than 10, yes, it prints, again I equal to I become 1, it prints 3, similarly 4, 5, 6 up to 10. Then after printing the value 10 here, it increments to by 1 here, it is 11. So is 11 is less than 10? No, condition false. So it comes out of do while construct. So this is how do while construct works. Now let us move on to one more construct, that is called for construct. So this is another type of programming construct. Here this structure is fixed execution structure. Here the meaning of fixed is the user must be knowing the exact number of repetition in the programming statement. So this structure usually used when we know in advance exactly how many times a set of statements is to be repeatedly executed. So here it also iterative statements. So here the difference from other two are, here the user must be knowing in advance the number of repetitions. So now let us see the syntax of this or general form. Here for reserved, for open the bracket, expression 1 semicolon expression 2 semicolon expression 3, then open the bracket, we are writing statements, n number of statements, close this bracket here. So in this example, so these many statements are repeated until the condition is true. So if you look at the expression 1 in this bracket here, expression 1 stands for initialization. And expression 2 is a condition or the final value or the last number, and in between it is incrementation or it can be decrementation also. So these are the conditions. So this is the syntax of a for loop, and the loop will continue as long as the condition is true. Once the condition fails, it comes out of for construct or for loop. Now let us see the example. Here look at the example here. For I equals to 1, I less than or equal to 5, I plus plus. Here this is initialization, condition of the last value, and this is increment. I plus plus is equivalent to I equals I plus 1. So this is equivalent to say this is short form of this expression. So I plus plus, then print I. Accordingly, first time I value is 1, check for the condition, 1 is less than 5, condition is true, it prints I, it prints the value of I as 1, then increment by 1. So it becomes 2, 2 less than 5, yes, it prints I value as 2. So it's going to print all the values from 1 to 5 as long as the condition is true. Once the condition is true, means after 5, it increments the value by plus 1. So I value becomes 6. 6 is less than 5. No, condition fails or condition is false. Then it will not execute this. It comes out of this for loop. So accordingly, in this program is going to print the values or numbers from 1 to 5, where 1 is the starting number and 5 is the last number. In between, incrementation, 1 plus 1, 2, 2 plus 1, 3, that is incrementation. Another example, I equal to 2, starting value, I equal to 10, that is the last value, and this is increment. So accordingly, it's going to print the number, starting value is 2 and increment by 1. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, up to 10, last value is 10. So this, as long as the condition is true, it repeats this statement. So once after printing 10, increment by 1, if the value of I becomes 11. So 11 is less than equal to 10. No, condition false. So it will not execute this, means it is not going to print 11. just 8 comes out of for loop. So this is another type of construct called for construct. Student, in this session we have discussed about iterative constructs. They are for construct, do while construct, and while construct. Let us start our discussion in my next session. Thank you so much.